Hello, this is Cece, and welcome to the show. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Business Lunch Hour. And so I am so glad to have you all with us here. We're doing an extra special edition on Thursday. We're going to try this out to see if this venue will work good for us. But also because I had this wonderful guest that unfortunately I was ill and wasn't able to have him come on. And we want to make sure that you guys embrace all these wonderful guests that are coming forward to be able to really showcase their businesses. And this gentleman is certainly going to do that today. Not only is he an inspiration in business, but he's an inspiration himself. So I am so pleased to actually have him here in the studio with us. His name is Dr. Christopher Salute. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Cece. That was quite an introduction. I hope I live up to that.
Oh, you absolutely do. Well, you started this wonderful magazine called Bold, and I'd like for you to tell us now, you've got a lot of professional accomplishments in your lifetime, and then you embarked on this new endeavor of this magazine, and it's actually so successful. So tell us why you decided to start doing something like this.
Sure. So, if you'd ask my father, he would tell you, you have all these degrees and all these accomplishments, you shouldn't go into business for yourself. You should just, you should be working for other people and getting paid a lot of money. And I think that for a while I thought that, and then at some point I thought to myself, well, no, when you're a smart person and you get yourself to be to the point where we are and we're accomplished, we do all these things, it gives you an opportunity to step back and think. And I thought to myself, I want to do something that I love to do every single day. I wanted to be a writer, but writers don't make a whole lot of money. I worked in banking and advertising, and I just thought to myself, if I could write every single day and not get bored, what would I write about? It's no secret. I say it all the time. I prefer plus size women. I always have since like age 6. And as I've dated plus size women throughout my life, I've almost lived, and I shouldn't say this because I'm certain that they've lived things that I haven't lived, but I've been involved with so many struggles that they felt and been in the room for those things. And I thought to myself, God, there's so much imbalance that I can talk about, and I don't think it'll ever end, and I'll never get bored writing about it. So let me just start writing. And I wrote, and people read, and people commented, and sometimes I ticked people off, and sometimes I made people happy. And I just thought to myself, I'll keep doing it. And the more I do it, the more I love doing it, the more people are starting to take note of it. I think that the one thing that is glaring is that I'm a white, cisgender, straight-sized male, and that I live this lifestyle. And I think at first that was a hindrance, but now people are thinking, well, this guy's got some pretty interesting perspectives. Let's hear what he says. And the more I screw up, the more people seem to read on because they want to see me correct myself. So it tends to work.
Isn't that the truth? It seems like same thing with me. They like me because there's no fluff about me. I just do this show in my kitchen, and I'm just really down to earth kind of person. And it seems like the listeners really do like that. I guess they can relate. They can relate to it. But sure. I love what you say because, when I was growing up, I never thought, I was thin, and I never thought about weight. I never thought about a problem with it, or I never looked at people differently. But now as I've gotten older and we're in the dating arena, it's huge. It's a huge factor with regards to, have you gained weight? And when you're a little bit older, you don't look like you did when you were younger, you know, and half the time, the ones that are criticizing those that look different, they need to look in the mirror, with that kind of thing. So I've always been one to gravitate towards personality of an individual, the core value of what they have. Do they stand, beside me with the same thing that I believe in? But it seems like weight, people don't always do that, do they?
I think it depends on the person. I actually just got interviewed by a publication last week, which I'm really excited about as well. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, so I won't. But, they tended to focus on, my preference and size, and it's a size related magazine. So I totally get it. I think that, at some point your personality needs to take over. So there's no secret that, if you're on Facebook or if you follow me on social media, it's 2019. So it's like, I'm starting to see somebody who I'm very much in like and in love for and with. And, who knows where it'll go, right? It's long distance, so we'll see what happens. And in 2019, there's these different titles. Are you seeing someone? Are you dating or whatever? And, she's a wonderful human being, and she's freaking gorgeous. And if she were a thinner woman, I don't know if I'd prefer her. She just happens to be. Now, there's a certain point where her personality took over, and it was an amazing thing to realize that we had so many things in common. But there are other certain points where we piss each other off, and I'm like, oh man, thank God you're hot. And so, it depends, I think, on the relationship. I've had lovers or partners where the attraction wasn't entirely there, but we could come home every single day and just talk business or talk, the charity work we did, or talk the different theories that we had, and we would talk for hours and hours till 3 a.m. But physically we weren't as attracted. And I think as you get older, that starts to become more important, right? Are you compatible? When you're 17 to 25, you're just trying to find the prettiest person in the room and give them a smooch. But when you start hitting 30, 40, 50, you start realizing what you like, and you start realizing what you love, and you start realizing who it is that you care about and who you are as a person. And when that starts to happen, there are things that you don't compromise on. I say this very often. As tough as I am, right? I'm an MMA fighter. I played football my whole life. I work out. I'm this doodly dude. I go out for beers. I'm a sensitive guy, like a really sensitive guy. So if I meet like a mean person, no matter how pretty they are, I literally just can't. Like, it's just, if they're mean to me or mean to other people, just not something that I mesh with. So personality starts to become really important. But also that physicality, there are certain points where, and I'm sure that people have looked at me. I think I'm a decently attractive person. I'm sure I've said some stupid stuff where, in fact, partners of mine have said, God, you are, thank God you're a pretty looking dude, because you just said the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So I think it's simple. It depends on the day, depends on the relationship, who you are, where you're at in your life,
Yeah. I've often said that as we're dating, we need to think about what it is we're truly looking for. And so I realize that there are attraction factors involved. But then again, I think sometimes we have to step aside a little bit. And if someone isn't repulsive to you, let's get to know them a little bit, and see what they're like, because you never know. It could be the one you've been waiting for, you know?
And especially with, we've had some offline conversations. I'm super excited to work with you more on your matchmaking and see if there's people out there that we can work with together. But it's true, right? So if you would be out of business if all you did was match people based on what they look like. And I think if all we think about is that person in the room who's just like wows us, it's not going to happen. And I've had that happen. I've dated celebrities, and I've dated models, and I've dated women who every guy in the room just stops and stares at. And we couldn't make it work for so many reasons. And the physical attraction only gets you so far. That first couple of months, you're barely talking, because you're just, going on dates and loving on each other, and that's great. But then something happens where that physical attraction is going to wear off, right? You see somebody, you walk in on them in the bathroom when they're sitting on the toilet, or they have a bad day and they have the flu, and all of a sudden that magic of that, the princess kind of look that they have, wears off a little bit, right? You see them as a human being, and that's cool. So then at that point, something's got to take over, right? Something in their personality has to attract you. And for me, it's always been, I'm a busy guy. I'm a proponent of, I love to talk about self-care. So I have a Talkspace therapist, and my Talkspace therapist, who I love, she's, we talk on the phone. She goes, I can't believe how much you do. From the minute I wake up until the minute I go to sleep, I have an influencer dinner tonight where I'm trying to sign somebody to my brand. I taught a class this morning. I just pushed off for our live session. I pushed off meetings with students. And so for me, I need somebody who's busy, not only busy, but like understands being busy, right? Like understands that we're busy lives. I've had to talk to partners who like are talking to me throughout the day and like, hey, is everything okay? Are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, honey, love you. You're amazing. I need to talk to you at 9 p.m. tonight because I just need to focus right now. So that becomes super important. And some people need somebody who's a little bit more chill, more laid back, and that's totally fine too. So, as that physicality wears off, you tend to find yourself in a place where you start looking for those other factors. I'm also a foodie. Like, I love eating food. Aside from liking plus size women and being, a bit overweight myself at times, no matter how thin I was or how thin my partner would be, I love somebody who eats, and I love somebody who enjoys that. So like if I'm going out to a dinner and my partner gets like a grilled chicken sandwich every time we have dinner, like we're gonna have nothing to talk about. But if they moan and groan over a slice of pizza the way that I do, I know that we've got something to bond over. I remember, I fell in love. There was a woman that I was dating for a while, and we came from very different lives. She was an actress. She had a totally different lifestyle, jet setting across the world, and of course I traveled for business, but not in that way. And I thought to myself, how are we? After the physicalness wore off, how are we going to bond? I don't know. And all of a sudden, I'm in the car with her. And this song plays that was like near and dear to my heart. It was a song off an album that like nobody knew about. And it was like kind of a song about, surviving after a breakup. And it was kind of a depressing song, but a little bit uplifting. And the song plays on my playlist in my car. And she goes, "Oh my God, I love this song." And literally at that moment, I looked at her and I was in love because we shared this experience that nobody else had shared in this. Well, other people, but that so few people have shared in the song, and that song must have meant so many different things to us. And that was it. So you never know what's gonna be that factor.
Yeah, you're so right. And you take it beyond the weight. You take it to the person, to the individual, to the core of that person, and relatability. There's so many factors that make a relationship work and not work. So. Yeah. I totally agree with you. And I respect that. I think that it's important for us to hear men say that because, women all along our whole lives, we've always been concerned about the way we look. And it's nice that it's refreshing actually to hear a man say, it's really about the way I connect with you. It's about what we have in common, the core of who you are is important to me versus because like what if you were in a relationship together and then something happens to somebody I mean you're not going to dump them because their looks change or something like that so it's really about that connectability that's very, very important to you. Let's talk a little bit about your inspiration to women and empowering them because I think it's very unique you see all kinds of women forming groups and doing all these things to empower women because themselves have been kind of down in the trenches and they want to help other people and lift them up. That's great. But very seldom do you see a man that want to inspire and empower women to be the best that they can be. And that's very unique. And I thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. And it is a great platform to talk about it too, because, there are always going to be rumors. I feel like, as long as I'm in this business, and I'm actually bringing on some team members who bring on a female perspective as well. And they're, writers and operations folks. So I'm excited to bring those folks on. There's always rumors like, what's this guy all about? Is he starting a magazine? And Bolt started in 2011. So this isn't new. But people go, did he start this thing so we can get more dates? Did he start this thing so we can work with women? And, look, am I lying in saying that if I were going to write about anything, I'd write about the plus size community because it's interesting to me? No, absolutely not. If you're going to write about something all day, of course I'd love to write about beautiful, empowered, strong women all day. If the magazine itself doesn't do well, at least I'm having fun, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's funny because if I didn't have this magazine, if I didn't have Bold Media to work on, I'd be dating a lot more because every time I interview somebody, I have to cross them off the list of people I can go on a date with because it's a conflict of interest. Every time somebody comes on as a writer, every time somebody does that. So I love working with people, and it's transformed itself from this me speaking about this community to a platform, to a stage. And we've got bloggers who, at any given point, we've got 15 or 16 bloggers who are writing articles. Their voice is amazing. We hosted our event in February called the Love Yourself Weekend, which has turned itself to now the Love Yourself Brunch series. And I don't speak. I give a keynote in the beginning and just a quick closing at the end. But, we had folks, we had plus size inclusive yoga instructors. We had Lisa Schoenberger, who's an extended size plus influencer and sometimes model. We had folks like Lyris Cross, who was our first America's Top Model in the plus size arena. So, sometimes I like to think that I empower women, but I also like to think that I'm just building this platform for them to empower themselves. It becomes that slippery slope. So many people say to me, Chris, like, thank you for empowering me. And at some point, I'm going to have to stop doing the empowerment. And so I'm trying to give that mic over to some folks. And also because, and there are some a lot of women, and I agree with them too, to some extent, that, it's not my place to do the empowerment, right? It's not my place to make that platform known. It's my place to just set the stage and allow these women to tell their stories. And I think eventually I'd like to stop writing and like to start, building this roster of women who can tell their stories. And we're getting there. It's really exciting. But you're right. As a man saying these things, it's super important to hear, I think, a male's perspective. So we're going to be doing some new sites coming in June. We're going to do a site called Must Have Curves, which is going to be what I used to write on my dating profile. And it's going to be just dating and love and relationships, loving yourself in relationship to or in relation to the love of another person. We're also going to be doing a new site called That Professor Life, which is my Instagram account, and it's going to talk about just education, teaching people, but also the struggles that go into building this business, the struggles that go into building this platform. And I think that a lot of people think that, and I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. A lot of people think if I build a website and I build an Instagram account and I tell people about things and I go to a fair, people start buying my stuff. It's not that easy. So I'm going to start moving into the realm of telling people how to be stronger and how to build their business, and hoping that my roster of people who are writing on the site will tell their stories and empower each other a little bit more. So it's just it's super exciting. I love this idea. And with every person that I interview with, or every woman who's in my inbox who says thank you, you're so empowering, thank you so much for doing what you do, I've had at least a dozen people who I've communicated with who said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to write a blog. I'm going to start something. And I go, great, that's awesome. I mean, do I want them to write for Bold? Yeah, because I think if we have 2,000 microblogs out there, then we have very small voices. But all power to you. Start your thing, do your stuff, and we're here to support, and we're here to be there for you. And with that male voice comes, I think, a different perspective, and it's a unique male voice, right? So I'm not saying that it's every male voice. I do connect with women on a different level. I've already gone through the stage of being this bachelor player kind of a person. Do I digress sometimes? Do I regress sometimes? Yes, I do. But it's nice to hear that, and there are other men who are coming forward and saying, man, thanks so much for saying what you're saying. My wife has this issue with her body and now we're talking about it. Or I never was vocal about my love for this woman because she was plus, and now I'm going to talk about it. So it's just, the conversations are all starting, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely awesome. And I like the idea that you are connecting with others and you're growing something, bigger. You're actually being able to spread out and do more. Because the thing is, when you do that, and I do it a lot myself too, is when you do that, you get a flavor of other people. And so what that does is that's their mindset or what their views are, or they have another different take on things. And it really does give it a different environment, and it just grows it, because one person may not relate to one person, but they may relate to another person. So yeah, I think that's absolutely great. And I think women need to be they need to feel secure about the way they look. I think they do need to feel it. There's no reason for them to feel, as long as they're, good, their core is good. And when I've always talked a great deal about the core, because I think your core values are really important. Your personality, your kindness, your goodness to others. If all of that is really good, and then you worry about your weight, it seems like, gosh, that's, I want you to worry about your weight because maybe you want to be healthier, not for the fact that you worry about the way you look. And right. So I hope that we are changing that perspective, because I think a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are coming on board with that, which is really good.
And so. I think in 2019, it's a totally different ballgame. I mean, and even, I talk about my struggles with my own weight, and anybody would look at me would say I'm an average size male. I struggle with my weight constantly, especially when I put my suits on, if they're a little snug. I've been 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And so, it does. I mean, you wake up in the morning a little bloated and you're not feeling so great and you have to put your clothes on. I mean, look, if you get to go to work naked, that's great, but we all don't get to do that. Mm-hmm. You got to put your clothes on that fit right the day before, and now they're not fitting so hot. And it does, it hurts. It hurts here. And it hurts when somebody, let's say a partner. I mean, I had a partner who, we were kind of on the way out of our relationship. I could kind of feel it happening. And I could kind of see her liking some Instagram posts from some really attractive guys with some six packs. And I'm never going to have a six pack. I mean, I'll have a six pack on a Friday night, but I have a gut, and it hurts. But I think at the core, you talk about your core values, right? being comfortable with yourself is super important. And it's something that we all struggle with. And every single day we struggle with it. We struggle with the ability to love ourselves. And that's why we're calling our series the Love Ourselves Brunch, or Love Ourselves series, because we want people to be in love with themselves. And you can't, and I'm sure you talk about this in your matchmaking, you can't bring in another person into your life until you love yourself. Like if you're constantly looking to that person to fill that gap in your soul, you know, when that person is gone for the day, what do? It's codependency, and it's not cool. So loving the way you look, the way you are. Look, you want to lose weight for any reason, go for it, right? You know, people will need to lose weight for medical reasons. People need to lose weight because of an active lifestyle. You got to do your thing. But if you love the way you look and you're healthy and you wake up in the morning and you're breathing and you're eating and life is good, and you love the way your body looks, there is there's a butt for every seat, right? There will be somebody who finds you just as attractive as you are, and everyone's attractive in their own right. I had a partner once who said, I used to say, oh, so-and-so's beautiful, and so-and-so's beautiful, and this person's beautiful, and that person's beautiful. And she goes, look, Chris, they can't all be beautiful, and I said, but they can, because everyone is beautiful. We've got these great features, whether it's in here or out here or, wherever it is. So you just have to find somebody who sees that beauty the way you do. And I think that's what's most important. And then, whatever it is, whether it's health or weight or, your career, all those things will write themselves if you accept the fact that you are who you are, and that's totally cool. And you wake up in the morning and you're good with it. Easy. I do it every day. I try to do it every day.
Well, I think that's great. You definitely are an inspiration. And I want to thank you for that, because I do. There are people out there that are not inspirational, and so they're negative. And so when you do meet someone that's very positive and not only takes that positive attitude, but builds upon it, it's just a totally awesome thing. And that's what you're doing with your business. So I appreciate that. Now tell me, what else are we in store for Bold? What else are you going to be doing? So you have more bloggers are going to be joining you. You've got the events that you're going to be doing. So is there anything else in place that you've got? I know your head is spinning with ideas.
Yeah, it always is. So we've got, I hate to be cryptic about it. The Bold magazine and the Bold media that you see today is a tiny, tiny fraction of what the plan is over the next 5 years. And I'm bringing on some folks on my team who see the vision or trust the vision. So I'll say this 1,000 times. I am never the person who, there's two types of people at a cocktail party, right? One person's out in front and they're making sure everyone's having a good time. And then there's one person making sure that the cocktail weenies are exactly the right size. I am never going to know the size of the cocktail weenies, and I don't care. I'm making sure that everybody's having a good time. So I'm bringing some folks onto my team who have that attention to detail and are sizing the cocktail weenies perfectly. So there's a lot that we're going to go into. Unfortunately, I can't disclose all of it, but Bold, the magazine, is planning to be a conduit and a community builder for so many other things. So events are something that we have truly loved. And, people think that when you run events, you're making like millions of dollars. Events tend to lose money unless you have the right sponsorship. So we've gotten some sponsors and we're really grateful for them. But, that's not the big thing that we're working on. We're actually working on some production of some books that we're writing, as well as a YouTube channel, as well as even some short films that feature plus size women. And I don't know if you've seen on our Instagram, but we are doing a soft launch on June 1st and then a hard launch on August 1st of Bold Brand Management. So there's this interesting, phenomena where now we're starting to see some plus size models really start to hit print and hit web and hit radio and hit television, and we're excited. And we've been thinking about this for years. So we're starting with a small core of women on the Bold Brand Management team, and we're going to be moving them into some print, smaller brands to start, but eventually we're targeting really big brands: Kraft, Ford, Mercedes, whoever it is. And we're specifically looking for two things. One, we're looking for really diverse plus size women. So I don't want to look at the super Caucasian, beautiful blonde who's 5'11" and a size 18. She's gorgeous, absolutely, but she'll probably get signed to a major model agency, and I'm not that. Who I'm looking for is somebody who is plus but is diverse. You're plus and in a wheelchair. You're plus and you're black. You're plus and you have a gap in your teeth. You're plus and you're a woman of age. You're past 60 years old or past 70 years old. You're plus and you are trans or gay, or you're a plus male, or you are a drag queen, or you are, whatever it is. And I think that, it's such an interesting place to be in 2019, where America is this conglomerate of so many different types of people. Yet when we turn on our television screens or we flip through a magazine, we're not representing those people. And so we really want to start getting those folks into print and into television ads and into YouTube videos and things of that nature. And I don't want to target plus size brands at first. I want to target all brands, because there's no reason that just because I'm plus size, it doesn't mean that I can't drive a Mercedes. It doesn't mean that I can't eat a hot dog from Ballpark Hot Dog or Nathan's. There's no reason that they shouldn't be, or we all shouldn't be represented in all these different brands. So that's going to be the big thing that we're working on over the next 6 to 12 months. And what I try to do with my team, nobody has the passion that you have as a CEO, and I'm sure that you have the same thing if you tried to hire somebody and they don't have the passion that you have. What I try to do is I try to get the ball rolling and then find a team member who can kind of make sure that they're, that it's their baby. So I'm currently looking for a team member on my team who really loves the Bold brand management side, and kind of move them into that top spot as my partner per se, because it also is a little weird, right? So you're a beautiful plus size woman, and you get an Instagram message or you get a Facebook message or you get an email from this guy who's a single guy, decently attractive, and he says, "Hey, do you want to be a model?" And you're like, "Who is this weirdo?"
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so,
really.
So I'm looking for somebody on my team who really wants to start, get that conversation rolling. But we have a core group of women who are amazing, who we're going to be putting into some ads, and we're excited about it. And we've got some brands too who are really excited to work with us. These are brands who, they're not going to be able to afford Tess Holiday or Ashley Graham or even some of the, the influencers with 100,000 followers, but they can afford to pay a micro influencer who's got 30,000 followers or 50,000 followers. And they can afford to get those folks into their clothing and into an ad. And so it's going to be really exciting. And there's so much more. I mean, we can do a whole other series on what we're doing. I go to sleep every night thinking about it.
Yeah, I totally get it, because I know growing our own network, the Going Solo Network, that we wanted, like you, we wanted, the people to feel comfortable with being single. And not thinking, okay, well, I'm out of divorce or relationship loss, I got to run back into another relationship. We want them to think it's like, okay, so you're single. Let's have the best time of our lives. Let's work on us, that kind of thing. So I totally get that you want people to be comfortable with who they are and to be able to grow your business so that you can expand to embrace all of those. So yeah, I totally get that. I think it's very exciting, and I like the way it's going, and that people are going to be, being able to be part of it and share within the process of it. So that's really a great thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all the things that you've got coming out. It will be great. I want to thank the listeners that are on board with us here today, making comments and stuff. That's very appreciative. I know we have shared this on other platforms, and unfortunately they're not able to, someone can't always make comments unless they come right into this platform here. So, but they're listening. We've got others, I'm sure, listening. So when we get off, then I'm surprised to see how many people we do have. And then, of course, the rebroadcast. We appreciate all the listeners that listen to us again on the rebroadcast. So we appreciate that. So is there any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Oh my goodness. How long do we have? I think that, I truly, when you had emailed me, Cece, I really loved, what you're doing, and I love what you're doing in your space and making connections with people. And I think that, at the core of everything that we're doing at Bold, it's still, you talk about core values, it's the same thing that we're doing, over here at Bold, in that, loving yourself is probably the most important thing that you could be doing, and getting in touch with who you are before you start inviting other people. And that's whether it's business or love or friendship. So, I think that it's just so important that, in 2019, the way we are kind of, we're exploring our own personalities, and, therapy is becoming like this okay thing to do now, and self-care and self-love and all these wonderful things. I think that at the core of what we're doing, whether it be you or whether it be Bold or whether it be whomever who's out there, I think, getting in touch with yourself and knowing who you are before you start inviting people into your world is super important. And that's what we try to do with Bold. And I think that that's what you try to do with your matchmaking services as well. So we're always going to do that. And whether we're serving the plus community, the LGBTQ community, the trans community, the male community, whatever it is, knowing yourself is super important. So that would be the thing that I'd love people to remember.
Yes, absolutely. So the last question I want to ask you is, why Bold Media? Why should we go to Bold Media?
I'm sorry, I coughed as you said it. Say it one more time.
Why should we go to Bold Media?
Oh, my goodness. So, what I would say is, first of all, we all need to be, as a writer, I get people who send me articles all the time, Huffington Post and, BuzzFeed and all this stuff, and I'm not reading as much as I should be. So the easy answer is we should all just be reading, right? We should be reading in general, whether it's HuffPost or BuzzFeed or the Wall Street Journal. There are body issues out there. There are weight discrimination issues out there that we should be aware of in general, right? Mm-hmm. But why you should come to Bold. I think that Bold has a really unique perspective. It's selfish of me, but it's also, as part of my vision and my plan. In 5 years, I don't want anybody talking about the plus size community without somebody saying, oh, like Bold magazine, right? I want people to associate us with the cutting edge, the first story that comes out. I want Bold to be able to get it. And we're not there yet because I have a full-time job, but in the meantime, I think that Bold has this great opportunity to educate people on what's going on in the world. We are collecting amazing writers, we are collecting amazing stories, and we're getting them out to you in a pretty quick format. We're also, we're editorializing as well, so we're inserting some opinions as well. So I think that coming to Bold is important to educate yourself, but also to get some unique perspectives. And you know what? To watch this dude who doesn't know everything screw up once in a while. I mean, have a laugh at my expense. I'm happy to be there. But I think that's, we know ourselves, we know what we're offering, and we love to have folks reading our stuff. The best thing in the world that can happen is when somebody reacts to one of our pieces. And I don't care if it's a negative reaction. I will field the negative emails. As long as they're respectful. But if you're reacting to something, great. That means that you're reading. It means that you're paying attention. It means that you're here for it. We're here for it. And we want to continue to facilitate that communication.
Yeah, that's great. You're doing a great job and absolutely wonderful. And I'm looking forward to seeing all that's going to be coming out of your organization. So, and all the inspirational women, it's just amazing. I was going around, doing some research and stuff, and I came across a few things, and I can just see that you're changing. You're definitely changing and embracing people, and that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing to do for sure.
Agreed. I mean, if you look at our Instagram, we've got some of our official Bold babes are Shelby Vaughn, who's an Olympic discus thrower, Amanda LeCount, who's got 200,000 followers, but she's also she's a huge dancer. She's a plus size dancer. She's danced for Taylor Swift and some other, she just opened up Coachella for Lizzo. We have folks like Abby Deal who are running Curvy Confident pool parties. We've got folks like Maisha Love Tanicki, who she does fashion shows all over the country. So, I mean, everything from models to writers to bloggers to club owners to Olympic athletes. And that's what being a plus woman is all about. It doesn't mean that you have to wear a bikini on a runway. It means that you're just existing, doing what you do and loving life and being awesome and empowered. And, that's when I need to take a step back because I can't empower these women. They're too boss for me. I just need to let them kick each other's butts sometimes, and it's great. They do events, they have drinks, and they come up with something awesome. And hopefully I get a thank you card, but sometimes I don't, and that's cool too.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's funny when you get a room full of women together. What it's like, I know my girlfriends, when we all get together, it's like, the walls rock.
Yeah, exactly. And so, there are certain points that I'm a strong guy, and I'm always going to say that sometimes I'm stubborn to my detriment. But in that room, sometimes I just need to chill out because there are so many personalities. There's so much power. There's so much incredibleness that I just have to let it happen. And it's tough. I mean, I like to be the center of attention, but you're in a room with like club owners and dancers and yoga instructors. And this one's got 400,000 followers, and she just landed a DN company photo shoot. And this one just started a nightclub. And this one, just danced on Coachella stage. You can't be the center of attention. So it's at that point where I just leave the mic where it is and I let you guys have it. And I'll just, at the very end, I'll say a word or two, but go kick ass and be as awesome as you are.
Right. Well, I think the thing is you're allowing them a platform. You're giving them a place to be able to unite with each other. And that's what it's really all about. And so it's no one person is going to outshine the other, but definitely together you'll be glowing. It's like you'll be aligned, and it'll be a great thing. So that's kind of how it goes. But I think when you do a business where you inspire other people, no matter what it is, that's exactly what happens. Is you and I know for myself, I don't do this coaching as much now. I just continue doing the connecting, and it's not about me, and it's about everything else that's taking place. So it gets pretty awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, you had said something really interesting about, just letting people connect and letting that happen. And that's, what Bold is turning into. I'd be a fool to say that I'm going to be the person that people want to read 5 years from now. And I have this conversation. I've had this conversation with my team, and they go, "No, but Chris, you're a brilliant writer, and you've got some interesting perspectives." It's going to get old, right? At some point, you're going to get tired of hearing what I have to say. And I know influencers who bleed followers because they're saying the same message over and over and over, and they're not changing it up. And so I never want to be that person. If there's something new out there, I want to get a hold of it. If there's something going on, I want to talk about it. Two of my very best friends, Emily, who is she's my director of administration. She started as my assistant, and my dear friend Abby was one of my favorite humans. She's like a sister to me. They started this thing called Kirby Chat, and now it's on their fourth or fifth iteration. Their fourth or fifth episode. They're starting to really get people talking. Now, do I wish that I were involved with Kirby Chat? Of course I do. But, the fact that they connected through Bold, and the fact that they're doing this amazing thing that's going on, like I was watching them last night, and I go, holy crap, these women are so strong. They're so intelligent. I couldn't have said it any better. They're amazing. And so the only thing I can do is write about it and say, look at what's going on. Here's something you should be listening to. And if Bold is there just telling people, where to find the next new amazing thing that's happening, that's all that we can expect to do. And the world changes so quickly. The only thing we can do is just try to get ahead of it and figure out what the next amazing thing is that we can talk about.
That's very true. Very true. Well, it's a delight to have you on the show. And I want to thank you so much for your time today. And I do feel that your magazine and what you're going to be doing with women, today and tomorrow in the future is going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. I also feel that I think, even though we don't talk about men, but I think men should really look at this. I mean, they should listen and they should read some of these articles, because I think they'll be very, very surprised. Because if we're talking, especially in my world, we do a lot about dating, we do a lot about, singles connecting. And the best way to really understand a woman is to start, getting into their world a bit. So I think picking up, your magazine, reading some of the articles that some of these awesome women are writing, they can get to know, the core of an individual a little bit more and better understand what's going on in today's woman. So
and it doesn't take away from being a man, right? So I happen to be a sensitive guy, but I've even been criticized. People have said, I've seen how you act around men, and you're totally different around men. Of course, I'm totally different around men, right? So we have a group. It's small, but it's growing. We have a group called the Barbershop, and it's a closed group of men who go to a lot of size acceptance events. We all typically have a preference for a thick to plus to extended size women. So we're all kind of in that same boat, and we talk about stuff. And yeah, are we sending around a picture of a model on Instagram once in a while and saying she's hot? We are absolutely doing that, because every man does that. Are we talking about sports? Are we grunting? Are we cursing? Are we venting sometimes about things that don't go wrong? I've messaged the group sometimes, like, bro, like, somebody help me out here. I said this, she said this. Where did I go wrong? Is she crazy? Am I crazy? Are we crazy? Like, I do that, and I'm a dude's dude, and there's nothing stopping me from going out and having a couple of shots with these guys and having a drink or watching a ball game and venting and being a guy and being that dude, right? But you have to have that balance. So there are certain things that I would say to my bros that I'm not going to say to my partner. And there's just ways that we talk. But it doesn't mean that I don't respect my partner. It doesn't mean that I don't respect women. And you can understand what your partner's all about. You can understand more about women, and you can still be a guy. And I've done the other thing too, where we've been in that group, and I've said, guys, like, we had a problem where we were all kind of, people were, sending friend requests out to women that they didn't know, and a lot of my friends got uncomfortable. And I said, guys, like, can we not do that? Like, it makes my friends uncomfortable. So I stood up for them, because I am a sensitive guy, and I know that women are typically, have to field these sometimes creepy messages. And even though none of these guys are creepy, that's the first thing that came to their mind. So, and I've also said, we have gentlemen's hours. That's why we call it the barbershop, because that's where you hang out with a bunch of gentlemen, right? We've had gentlemen's hours at events where we talk about, guys, like, what are the best ways to approach women? And I've said straight, we have Vegas rules, so I can't tell everybody what goes on during that hour is what happens in that hour stays that hour. But I can say what I've said. And I've said to guys, I'm like, guys, like, you can totally have a one night stand, like, do your thing, just be upfront with what you want. And be who you are, and show a little sensitivity and show some class and show some polish and respect, and you're going to get what you want as long as you're transparent about it. And we can help each other become better men, and we can help each other find the connection that we need through educating each other. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. And I really encourage men. And I think that's why we have I have such a large male following, is that because I do encourage men to, step into the world of a woman a little bit, because if you want to better understand her, you have to participate in her life. And so pick up a magazine that she reads and look at it and read it a little bit so you can kind of understand. I mean, she's not going to be like you, and you don't want her like you,
Yeah.
So, but you do want to understand her a little bit more and have an interest in what she does like and what does interest her. Yeah.
We had so my day job is I'm a professor, and so we have this big business competition every year that we sponsor, and I go out to some high schools and I try to coach some teams, right? And there was a group that took on. I'll give you two examples. There was one group that took on. They had to do something that was eco-friendly, and they did eco-friendly condoms. And I'm bracing myself for, these are 17-year-old kids who are about to talk about something serious.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I give them kudos for taking on that challenge. But when they took it on, they didn't hit a lot of the points that they should have. It was basically, their logo was a big phallic symbol with a crown on it. They put pictures of condoms on beaches and stuff like that. But they didn't talk about, at the core, a woman's choice to know what's in her body. And that's important, because these condoms that they were creating were organic and they were biodegradable, and they were more effective than a normal condom. And they didn't hit on like the really important stuff, and especially women's choices I thought was really important. And I said to them, I could look at your whole presentation and I could tell you that none of you had consulted any one of your sisters, your mom, your best friend, your prom date, because this is a male looking presentation, right? It was rugged and it was sexual and it was all that. I had another group who they were talking about a date rape nail polish that you put into a drink, and you could tell if you're being date raped or not. And I had this conversation with the pitch person, the CEO of the company was this young guy, and he starts spitting out statistics about date rape in a very sterile way as part of his pitch. And I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but we'll call Bradley or John or whatever. I said, John, when you're about to, you're 17 years old, you're probably having some of your first dates. I don't know how young we start making out anymore. The kids are sending each other Snapchats at 13. But I said, you're going on a couple of dates, maybe you're going to go over to somebody's house and you're expecting maybe there's some intimacy at 17 or 18 years old. And that's cool. You're free to do what you want as long as it's consensual and as long as it's safe. All you're worried about as a man is that woman wants you, right? That's all you're worried about. Is she going to want me enough to get intimate with me, right? Now, you haven't even thought about what that woman's thinking. That woman, it's even at as early as 17, 16, 15, they're thinking, is this guy going to like me? But also, is this guy going to hurt me? Because, and I've said this, there's a huge difference between the strength of a male and the strength of a female. No matter who you are, no matter what size you are, men inherently, their muscles are just different, right? And women walk into a room when every time they take a drink, every time they close a door behind them, every time they get into a car, it's always going to be in the back of their mind. Can I trust this human being who's next to me? And he said, oh my God, I never thought of that. And so he changed his pitch up, and instead of spitting out statistics, he used like a case study, and he drew a picture of a young woman going on a date and worrying about the date rape and worrying about dipping her fingernail in the drink to see if there was any, roofies or anything in it. And he won the pitch competition, and he won like $2,500 for his team. And it was because you had a male up there saying, all right, I get it. I get that women have to worry about things that I've never in my life had to worry about. It's the same thing as if you're a gay male or a gay female, and not only do you have to worry about going to school every day and making sure people don't laugh at your clothes, but you've got to hide the fact that you're gay. And when do I come out? And how does that, You don't know those things until you talk to somebody about it and know what's going on. It's the same thing. I have students of color who walk into rooms sometimes. Long Island is a very lily white kind of a place. They might walk into a room and they're completely judged on their color. I've never had to experience that. I can talk about it. I can sympathize as much as I want, but I can't empathize until I understand what they go through. And I think that, we talk about understanding ourselves and understanding the core of who we are. When you really make a connection with somebody, you really put yourself in their shoes and understand who they are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you are a delight to talk with. I could probably talk to you for hours.
Oh, thank you very much.
So it is fun. I'm definitely having a good time. And I just, your magazine is really great. I know there's going to be so many wonderful things around the corner that you're going to be doing. And, I'm looking forward to hearing about those and being, maybe a part of those, being able to read the magazine and doing whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'd like to do that. But this has been a joy. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show. And hopefully you'll come back and join us again.
Let's do it. Cece, thank you so much for having me. You're a blast as well. I'm so glad that you reached out, and let's do more stuff. I'm excited to hear what you're about. So we'll have you on board as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Absolutely great. Well, this has been a great show, an absolutely great show. And I want to thank everyone for listening to us today. It's been wonderful. I hope you enjoyed having the show here on Thursdays, and we'll see how this platform works out. But if not, you know that you'll meet us here on the lunch hour, the business lunch hour. So that is exciting for us. So this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and I'm Cece Schatz, and it's great to be with you here today. And I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.